Everyone, welcome to Child Plus Disabilities how-to videos. This first video is going to be on all things opening a concern and how to document and when. So I'm hopeful that this is a supportive method to teach you and kind of walk you through what it looks like. So you'll see on the screen that basically I've pulled up Child Plus. I'm under the services portion up here. If you're a teacher or a staff member full time, you'll probably have a list of your children's name in this left column over here. I can see everybody's, but I didn't want everybody's up here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search our test file, which is Simone Biles, is the name that we use. So she's been around for a while, since 2017. So we're going to practice with this one today. So once you have the child, you'll see right here's her file. These are all the different tabs. So our focus today is going to be on the disabilities tab. So if, let's hypothetically say, I have some concerns about a child that I'm seeing in the classroom, or we know that they scored low on a dial in a certain area and we're monitoring, or a parent has come to us and said, gosh, I'm noticing that maybe there's been some language shifts in her child. Maybe the child isn't speaking as clearly as they were, or they're not speaking as much, and there's something that they're concerned about. So, just for clarification, we do not have to open a concern just because we think there is one. If a parent has one, even if we're not seeing it in the classroom, that would still be something that we want to try to support or offer connections with. So let's do a hypothetical. Let's say for this one, we're going to open a disability because Simone came in and did her screening and her language scores were quite low. At the time, the family was not ready to make a referral when we offered it. So we've waited and now we're at the first checkpoint. Let's say we're early December and we're like, okay, we're ready to open a concern. The parents are on board and we're having more concerns as well. So if that were the case, hypothetically, we would click on disabilities as one of the indicators. So once you open that, you're going to see these pop up: additional info, attachments, concerns, and there are none listed because we haven't done that yet. IEPs, IFSPs, medical model, which we'll also review after. So to add the concern, you're simply going to hover over here on the green button, click that. So you're going to choose the date that it's identified. So we're going to pretend it's today. And I'm going to also choose from the drop-down category. So these are fairly self-explanatory. For this situation where it's simply language, we're going to choose language. And we can talk a little bit more about what the other ones could mean. The social, emotional, and multiple areas often kind of get confused or go hand in hand. Please be reassured that even if you click the wrong one, we can edit this and it's not detrimental. And then for the status, it's either pending or needs more information because we're just opening it. We're not doing the referral yet. So I'm going to choose need more information. Under the LEA or Part C agency, you do not need to add anything here yet. Oftentimes, when we have a referral that's ready to go out, we'll choose this, but that will come in a latter step. So the next step would be that you're going to choose your name. If your name does not show up, you're simply going to start typing your last name in. I'll use Maddie Jernigan as an example. So if I start typing Jer, you can see that the names come up that are applicable. So I could simply click on her and her name's going to show up there. Well, obviously not her. So we're going to X that out. And then my name automatically auto-populates. So you should have access to all your kids. As a side note, oftentimes if you have teachers that switch classrooms, or sometimes when children move from infant, toddler to preschool, the previous teacher will still be listed as a responsible staff. It's nothing to worry about. You just need to update it so it shows that you're the one doing the work so that you get credit for it. It doesn't slow you down, just a simple adjustment if you can. So under the activity notes, what we're going to do is just basically do a really short capture about why we're opening this concern. So I would probably put child had scored low on dial prior. Parents reached out during conferences to share that they are seeing some of the concerns at home. Um, and we are also observing in the classroom. So this is basically the start of it. This is saying why. So remember, anytime that you're adding notes, what you're trying to do is paint a picture of what's occurring for this child. So it doesn't need to be super detailed. Even I tend to write a little more than is necessary. And sometimes you'll also find that if we do dials and that there's a low score, we may open a concern for tracking reasons. Don't be surprised if you came in after summer break and that occurred. It would just need to be updated and closed, which I'm also going to show you what to do. So now we know the parents have reached out. That sounds like maybe they're a little more ready for talking about next steps. So I'm going to put discussed next steps regarding referral. Family is interested in completing the step. I will provide referral packet and to family for completion. Again, I'm writing a lot, but I like to paint a really thorough picture. So when you're done adding that initial note, I'm going to click save. So now you'll see that this comes up as a concern identified. We still need information, and we do. Um, then we just hit save down here, and that saves the open concern. And now you see here, remember prior there was nothing listed. Now it shows open, the date and language. Nothing as far as the agency yet because we haven't completed the referral. We've just talked about it. Now let's say I get the packet together and a week later, I want to go in and add a note saying I provided the family the packet. So again, this will always be under concern and the date we opened the concern originally. What we're going to do over here is hit add activity. You're going to date it. So obviously for me, it has to be today because I'm doing this right now. However, you're going to put it for the date that's applicable, right? Activity type. So if you provided the family with the documentation to do the referral, you're going to put that under parent education and support. You're going to put that as complete, and then you're going to choose your name again. And on the note, you may say, provided parents with referral documents and info, offered support to complete if needed. They will work on it and let us know or return when complete. So that's it. You've done that part. You've provided them support and education. You click OK. And then if you see this, this is like a little page of a book that's going to just kind of tell a story. So again, we're going to save this because we haven't done anything else yet. So I'm going to save that. Okay, so let's say another few days goes by. They bring back the referral packet to you and all of the information, and things are ready to go. So again, I'm going to come in, I'm going to hit my open concern. Oops, I did something wrong. Let me try that again. Click on that. There we go. So you'll see here's where we did concern. There's the parent ed and support. Technically, these are flipped around because I'm doing them in the wrong order. So for this one, what we're going to do is if we're ready to add an activity that is the referral, we would do add activity. Okay. Let's say the referral date's May 1st. We'll try to do it so it goes in order for us. Hypothetical, of course, guys. So the activity would be that we have done the referral and then it's external. So even for folks who are embedded in the school systems and technically it doesn't feel like it's an external referral, it still is a separate program from KV CAP, even though we collaborate. So you would always choose return external referral. Then important is you're going to want to do the referred to. So you click this and it's going to bring up a big list of many things that we can choose from. So let's say we're going to be referring to either RSU 19, or let's say we do MSAD 54. So SAU, School Administrative Unit, covers everything. Eventually, when everyone has taken on FAPE for public school, we will put in all of their listings, but SAU will count for now. So I'm just going to click that. That's what it looks like. Again, this can be adjusted if you need to, so don't worry about getting it wrong. The status, this is very important. So for us, it feels like the referral is in process because we're just sending it. But for us, we're going to mark it as complete because Head Start requires us to show that we've opened concerns, followed up, had complete, and then had completions of referrals if applicable. So if not applicable, that's great. But if we've done it, we want to get credit for it. So I count as complete for referrals. And then again, you're going to put your name. So here's another part that's critical. Referral for evaluation. So you're going to click referred for evaluation to determine eligibility for IDEA. That's the Individual with Disabilities Education Act. So if the child did not receive an evaluation, please select the reason. We don't know that yet, right? The referral comes prior to us knowing if the child has an eval and if they're determined eligible. So this is an area that as a program we're working on, and I often come back in to update these. So again, everything is fairly fluid. Try to reference this as much as you can to get it accurate, but please know that you can reach out to me at any time through email, and I will absolutely screenshot things and help you individually. So again, date, the referral is external, choose the place. If it's CDS, choose CDS. Always count the referral as complete and put your name, then referred for evaluation to determine eligibility. Because what we're hoping is they're going to get referred for an eval. Okay, so under activity notes, you're just going to put, I might say scanned and emailed packet referral to IEP coordinator at MSAD 54. And I put MSAD School Administrative Unit, and they're very similar terms, so you're going to hear them interchange quite a bit on the more we move forward with our public school collabs. So that's all you need to do. You scanned it, you emailed it, and you sent it. Done. Click OK. Click Save. And I believe, if I'm correct, if you refresh, you should see now. Nope, it didn't show up. So oftentimes, let me make sure I actually clicked. Yep, I did click the right thing. Let me try one more time. SAU. Okay. So it's not showing up as where you referred to yet here, but it should say SAU. I probably would need to log off and log back in again, which I'm not going to do right now. Okay, so now let's say the next step of the process is we know that there's going to be the referral's been done and sent, so there'll be the first initial team meeting, which is called RTT or initial team meeting, depending on who you're partnering with. So you technically would let the parent know the referral has been made and that what they can anticipate next. So you may add activity. You're going to do, let's say 5-1, because that's what we did for the referral date. We're going to say, again, you can do other communication, parent ed and support. So I would count it as parent ed and support because you're providing that information. And again, your name, complete if you remember to. And then what we're going to put in here is informed family that referral was sent and provided a visual of next steps. So you're going to provide the visual support of next steps, and you also can let them know that they should receive a phone call within 7 days from the school or whoever the referral process was sent to schedule that first initial team meeting or RTT, whichever, when you partner, whichever they're using for language. So that's all you really have to do for this part. Just say that you gave it to him, off and running. So within that next month, you're also going to have like the initial team meeting will occur. So when that occurs, if you are able to attend, which you should, then you should absolutely come in, add activity, date to, let's say it's the 5th. This would be the world's fastest IEP ever, but bear with me on the dates. So what we would put on here is we would put that it wasn't an IEP meeting because the child does not have an IEP. So for me, I'm going to put this down as either other or parent editor support communication, either way. So if I just put other, I can put attended, ooh, sorry about that. Attended initial team meeting today, RTT, whichever language they use. Family also joined. Um, Child will be receiving. And then you just kind of type in what you found out. A classroom observation is often a staple of any determination because remember, this is just the initial thing to decide if this is something we need to pursue. The next meeting is after the evals or observations have been completed, and then we determine, okay, we have this info. Now what's next? Does this child qualify? So it's really kind of a slower stepped process, even though it feels fast at times. So child will receive a classroom observation, or you could even put like, or speech therapist will come to um, observe. And that's it. So, and this is different for every child, so it may be very different. So if they were sent out for a full evaluation, we could mark that off as well, but often that will come next. So let's say that we attended the meeting, the speech eval probably occurred, the classroom observation occurred, you get an invitation to attend the eligibility determination meeting, which is basically called a team meeting at that point. So again, you're going to double check the dates, make sure you can attend. Let's say that happens on the 8th. So what I would put for this one, if I've attended, is I would then put the child still does not have an in-house IEP. I would put other, and I would put attended child's eligibility team meeting today. So at that meeting, the child will either be found eligible or ineligible. So let's say that Simone was found eligible. Simone found eligible for speech and language therapy. IEP will be created and implemented. So another thing you can think about too is if they were found eligible, what does that mean? Please note that you do not need to be super detailed. Either they were found eligible or they were not. If they were found eligible and an IEP will be created, you're going to get that within probably 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes a little longer, depending on who you're partnering with. So I may also put in here, part of our role is also to make sure we're either sending for those documents. So Head Start requires us to have all evaluations and IEPs and IFSPs in the Child Plus files. And so oftentimes as a supervisor, when I'm teaching staff to do this, I would put, this is the time that you could go in and say, you would do your request for the IEPs, the request for records, which is done right through the drive through Ann Owens and our BNI team. And I can do a separate video for that if that's needed. So IEP will be created and implemented. I will send, whoops, request for records for child's file. Now, what's going to happen next is you're going to just click OK and save that. And this is great because it's showing me a really nice picture about like what's happening. It doesn't frequently move this quick, so it may in some of our locations. So if we take a peek back at this, let's save it permanently. Okay, so now we know we've got Simone. We talked to the family, they talked to us, we did the referral, we've had the first response to teams or initial team meeting, and then now we found out that at the next team meeting that they were found eligible and determined eligible. So next steps are going to be that we know from here the concern technically could be closed right now because we know what's coming next. But what I will say is until you have the IEP in hand, I would keep the concern open because then you can still track here. If the parents have questions, if you provide any other support, that's one way that you can sort of track what's going on as well. Now, because we know an IEP is coming, it is also okay at this point because once your concern is done and the child qualifies for an IEP, you no longer need to document under concern. It will then switch to this tab. So if I click IEP, obviously there's nothing here because we don't have it. We don't ever add IEPs. I don't add IEPs. Jackie Lund is our liaison. When we request records, anybody who gets the records back, everything disabilities related goes through Jackie Lund. She will upload them to Child Plus. She's the one who adds the IEP and fills out all the information that's needed. And then she will send that out in an email to you, your family coach, and your supervisor. So that's why we have them all go through Jackie so that we make sure that people get the correct information. I anticipate that being in a public school, especially like 54, that is so close in our workability, there may be a few differences with that, but I would encourage us to still use our process because if we don't, things get missed. And that's when we are unable to really provide information we need if we have a review or really serve the child best. So after the concern, right? Let's pretend that we have the IEP. It came, we're ready to roll. So that means it's going to be time to close the concern. So I'm going to now stop this video. Actually, now let's close the concern. So if you have a concern open, and again, we're on Simone and we know the story with her because we trained it last time, right? She was determined eligible. So to close this, you're going to click it like this, and you'll see on this page, this is like our little kind of our diary of what's happened. Right down here in the left corner, it says close concern. So I click that. So the date closed, let's say I say we close it June 1st. Okay, closed reason. So this is important. So if the child drops, you close the concern, put child dropped. Condition resolved sometimes can be used or parent refused. A lot of times what happens is parents will get the packets and not complete them. That doesn't mean the condition's resolved, but if you see an improvement and the parents aren't following through on the referrals or they're still not ready to say yes, which they don't have to, then you can choose condition resolved if it's complete, if you feel like it's not an issue anymore or concern, or you can put parent refusal. Either way, because see here, you do have an activities notes box that you can add to. IEP in place is what we were going to choose for this child because we know that she has an IEP. Or IFSP in place if it's a child that's under 3. We can also choose intervention or referral not warranted. So if we hadn't ever done the referral or there doesn't need to be an intervention at all, we can choose this because basically what this means is they were found ineligible. But this is more about the steps prior. So either they had an IEP or they were not eligible is a way that you can, either one of those will work. And then we talked about, and then receiving medical model happens a lot. So if you have a child that you did a referral to, or you have you didn't do the referral, but you have a concern open, and they start receiving medical model, you can close that concern and you can use this as your indicator. So for today, though, for Simone, we're going to do IEP in place, responsible staff again, and then here's where you can put a note. So obviously this is self-explanatory. I don't need to say much on here, but let's say this, for an example, was parent refused. So if I had to choose that, I may put something like provided packet to family, 3 separate occasions, offered support, parent chose not to complete. That's it. And then you click OK and the concern's closed. Because while we still want to keep tracking if it's really a concern, we also need to have the parent partnership to be able to see this through. So it can be a slow dance sometimes, but I wanted to kind of talk you guys through that. So with this one, I wouldn't put a note because it's IEPs in place, choose determine eligible, and I've already highlighted it here. So this just says concern closed, so I'll hit save, and you'll see on the front here, on the original page, once it goes back, so here the reason popped up. Whoops, excuse me. Reason popped up, the date, category is still there. I'm not sure why that didn't pull, but I'm not going to worry about it. And then it's closed. So this just tells you, and honestly, when we hit close, what happens is when I have to do my reporting out for my job, I pull the reports of how many were open, how many were closed, which ones are still open. And that just helps me see where the areas are that we might need support with our referrals or even new partnerships. So that is how to add a concern and close a concern. And that's a pretty specific example, but it's really more for you about how to use Child Plus. So moving forward, because Simone is getting an IEP, we are going to start putting all documentation moving forward under here, under IEP, because just think about what's applicable. Also, um, there'll be a little blue flag that pops up showing that there's a disability on a child if they have one as well. So it doesn't mean a whole lot other than it just helps visually for people who like that. Okay, I think that that's where I'm going to wrap up for today with disabilities as far as how to open a concern, what happens if they come to an IEP, have an IEP, and then where to go next, and then also how to close a concern.